Hey Star Warriors, Geek here, and welcome to the 29th episode of Star Wars Factor Beam, the series where I tell you 5 Star Wars facts that you can't pull away from. Each episode is centered around a certain character, film, or category. In today's episode, I'm finally cracking. I've held off on this character for a long time, but with the 30th episode Return of the Jedi special up next, I think it's finally his moment. The character under lockdown in the cell block level of the Fact Star is Republic hero and Gungan veteran, Jar Binks. Let's hop right into it with fact number 1. Jar Binks got his infamous name from George Lucas's son.
Yes, creepy eye!
Me so happy.
George's son, Jet Lucas, had the honor of naming what was supposed to be the key to the Phantom Menace's success.
Jar Jar is a key to all this.
You can't really blame a kid who was only 5 or 6 for coming up with a brilliant name like Jar Jar. That's just one of the perks of being George Lucas's son. Jet Lucas wasn't the only one to inspire George. He revealed at D23 that he also found inspiration for Jar Jar in the Disney character Goofy.
Gosh.
Goofy's voice actor, Bill Farmer, said about this new revelation, "There's only one Goofy. He's got a few Goofy traits in there, but he's his own character." He also said, "I'm glad Goofy is kind of the opposite of him in that realm," referring to Jar Jar's general hatred in the pop culture universe. That negative response that Jar Jar received after his debut in 1999 is what prompted George Lucas to jokingly title the first draft of Episode 2 as Jar Jar's Great Adventure. That's a bit of a jab at the critics. Whew, oh boy, I only promised 5 facts in this episode and I already gave you like 3 in the first slot alone, so I don't know how much more of this Jar Binks stuff I can take.
No, this is very, very bad!
Fact number 2. Jar Binks was the very first fully CGI animated main character in a live-action film. George Lucas has always been an innovator of the film industry. Before Episode 1 was released, no fully CGI character had been attempted on the same scale as Jar Binks. With a whopping 19.5 minutes of screen time, 15 different animators had to collaborate to get the character to come to life, which was a lot of people in that department for the time. Of course, the animators couldn't do it alone. It wouldn't have been Jar Jar without the contribution of energetic stage actor Ahmed Best. For the principal photography on The Phantom Menace, Best wore a full costume for every scene. He had to bake beneath the Tunisian sun all while jumping around in full latex. When post-production began, they realized that it would be much cheaper, faster, and easier to replace Best's entire performance with a computer-animated character. For many scenes, they had Ahmed reshoot his actions in a motion capture suit, one of the first of its kind. The real kicker here? The latex suit cost $100,000. Even if it helped the animators better understand the proper lighting of each scene, it was a bit of an expensive experiment that pretty much failed. Nonetheless, Jar Binks not only paved the way for more fully CGI animated characters, but opened up a whole new realm of motion capture magic for future filmmakers.
Alright, you're suited up.
Ready?
Go for it.
Okay, everyone, let's start with a brief warm-up. We're gonna start with a stretch.
Fact number 3. Jar Jar's design took inspiration from many different creatures.
Whether it's a prehistoric species or a current species, blend those together, how do those anatomies work in real time and in real life?
When designing the look for Binks, George always knew that he wanted him to be an aquatic creature. Concept artist Terrell Whitlatch was assigned the job of making the basic look for the character, describing him as a mix between a duck-billed dinosaur and an emu, with the skin of an amphibian and the color pattern of a parrotfish. But those aren't even his most distinctive features. He was given knees that begin much higher up on the leg than a normal humanoid, giving him a strange jaunt. His head bobs back and forth to mimic the walk pattern of an ostrich, and his 2 most distinctive features were actually afterthoughts. His long floppy ears were added for comedic effect, and putting his eyes on stalks allowed for more expressive movement. All in all, Jar Jar's a bit of a Frankenstein-like concoction of different creatures and animals, making for a truly unique design.
The people that I think were the hardcore Star Wars fans may have had a problem simply because he was new and because he was kind of a funny one.
Fact number 4. Michael Jackson was considered for the role of Binks. When pop superstar Michael Jackson heard that George Lucas was going to be making new Star Wars movies, he was dead set on playing the star of the show. Jar Jar Binks. Jackson was very enthusiastic to give the part his all, and felt like he was the perfect fit. In the end, Lucas turned him down due to Jackson's persistence on making the character exclusively with prosthetics and refusing to allow any CGI. The singer's star power was also an issue, as George felt it would detract from the character and just turn Jar Jar into Michael Jackson in space. When Ahmed Best was brought in for the role, Lucas was much more pleased, even if he did walk out of the room midway through Best's martial arts-centered audition. Best was actually introduced to Michael Jackson by George, and didn't feel like he got the warmest of welcomes. Lucas introduced Best as Jar Jar, and Jackson seemed a bit perturbed. Grudges aside, Ahmed was definitely the right choice for this role.
We're gonna only give you that much because he gotta go back to work. You can't have no more of that. You can't have no more.
And finally, fact number 5. Jar Jar Binks was originally a cunning double-crossing mercenary.
You saved my again.
What's this?
A local. Let's get out of here before more droids show up.
When the infamous Darth Jar Jar theory was first introduced online, Ahmed Best was quick to admit that there was some truth to the rumor. While at first just sending out some joking tweets, he eventually began revealing crazy facts about the production of The Phantom Menace. According to Best, in one of the first drafts of the Episode 1 script, Jar Jar Binks was meant to be a double-crossing mercenary who betrays Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Best believes that George's original idea for the character might have been a bit more in-depth and darker if it wasn't for the extreme backlash that he got. Jar Jar was expected to play a much bigger role in the next films, but when his role was cut down, his true villainy seems to have disappeared almost entirely. One of the deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith included newly appointed Supreme Chancellor Palpatine thanking the Gungan for granting him emergency power. It was meant to be a really dark moment, where Jar Jar's possible ulterior motive shines through. In the end, we may never know the truth, but for now, we can always hope.
There's a lot about it that's true. There are some things about it that are not true.
That wraps up episode 29 of Star Wars Factor Beam. Subscribe to Star Geek for weekly Star Wars content. Did you learn anything about the CGI duck-billed star of Jar Jar's great adventure, Darth Moonwalk? If so, put it in the comments below. If you like the channel, please tell a friend. If you enjoyed the video, please shoot that like button at light speed. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by clicking the links in the description. And you can check out my last video, The Future of Star Wars Spin-Offs, if you just click on the thumbnail. You can also click on the right to watch Factor Beam episode 28 on K2SO. Don't forget to comment on your own character suggestions below the video. Until we meet again in a galaxy far, far away, this has been Star Geek. Some of you might scoff at the theory that Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord, but maybe there's more truth to it than meets the eye. George Lucas is very big on patterns and symbolism.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one.
For example, Vader in Dutch means father. If you look closely at Jar Jar's name, the whole thing is so obvious. On the Gungan home planet of Naboo, statues are scattered all around their sacred grounds. These heads greatly resemble Hindu gods from the old Indian culture. In Duel of the Fates, the choir sings in Sanskrit. Jar backwards is Raj. Raj is the Sanskrit word for king. The fact that the word is repeated changes the meaning. Raj roughly translates to King of Kings. King, of course, meaning Sith, and King of Kings meaning the overall mastermind leader of all of the Sith Lords in the galaxy. Is this finally proof of the fan theory, or is it just some random comment string I found on Reddit? The world may never know.